Hi, my name is Roel van Masterbergen from Senile Team, and you're listening to... What are we listening to again?
The SEGA Lounge.
The SEGA Lounge, of course.
I'm gonna keep that in.
You want me to try again?
I'm gonna keep that in, though. Welcome to the SEGA Lounge, a podcast dedicated to our love for all things Sega, be it the games, the music, or the community. I'm KC. In each episode, I'll be talking to different guests and sharing their projects and their passion for Sega. Welcome back to the SEGA Lounge, everyone. I hope everyone's been having fun and enjoying the most recent Sega games. We'll get to those on the show eventually, so follow the podcast on your podcast app so you don't miss our reviews or discussions when they drop. Remember, you can still win a pack of the SEGA Lounge stickers or a t-shirt by submitting your own 60-second game recording via email to podcast@thesegalounge.com or using the voicemail feature on our website. Simply pick your favorite Sega game and record your best pitch that you think will convince everyone to want to play it. Anything goes as long as it doesn't exceed 1 minute. Recordings that make it into the show will get the aforementioned prize. But there's no more time to waste. It's time, people. Time to talk about this week's guest. We've been getting a lot of returning guests recently, haven't we? This time, we welcome back to the lounge Roel van Masterbergen. Sorry, Roel. Founder of Senile Team. When he last came on the show back in October 2017, he was promoting the Kickstarter for a brand new Dreamcast game called Intrepid Izzy. The game is now out on both Dreamcast and Steam, so it's time to talk to Roel once more and learn what happened during the development process and what exactly makes Intrepid Izzy such a special game. Hello, Roel. Welcome to the SEGA Lounge. Welcome. How are you?
Hello, David. Thank you. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good, especially because you're here, and I kept a promise that I made a few years ago. So, do you remember when you last were on the show? What date it was?
Oh, I really wouldn't know.
October 2017. It's been a while.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Yes, it is.
So we're both still young then.
Oh, I was very young then. I've aged like 40 years after that with all that's happened. But you were on the show to talk about the Kickstarter for Intrepid Izzy. And that's a thing of the past. Now, the Kickstarter, not the game. But I made you a promise.
The game is very current.
Exactly. I said, I hope we can get you back on the show when we're closer to the release of the game on the Dreamcast. And I'm very glad to say that I was able to keep that promise. So it's a real pleasure to have you back on the SEGA Lounge. But
it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. But last time you were here, this was a little bit different of a show. This was a different format. It was more of a radio show. Now it's a podcast. And so some of the people listening in now probably don't remember our interview from last time. And so let's get into it by talking a little bit about your background as a gamer, if we can. Would you like to tell us briefly how you got into video games as a gamer first?
Well, to be fair, I don't even remember our interview from last time. Well, how did I start as a gamer? Shall we start with video games or even before then? Because my first video game console was an Atari 2600, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very old machine now, of course. I think it's actually from about 1977. I think it was first produced. But
I
it was
think it's
sold for a
late
very long
70s,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, I was instantly in love with that machine because it was amazing just being able to press a button and watching stuff move on your own TV. That was magical. Of course, these days it's fairly normal to see stuff moving on the screen, so the magic is kind of gone in that respect. But back then, even if it was just blocks, it was it was a real treat. But even before I started with video games, I already had some a bit of a knack as a game developer, I guess, as a game designer, in the sense that I'd already invented some games myself. That's my phone. Let's
Is that the
turn the
the
sound
star
off.
post of Sonic?
It is.
Oh, nice. Quite
I
on
thought it
brand.
was an ideal sound for a message alert.
I
Right.
agree.
Anyway, even before video games, I had already invented some games myself, including a card game, whose rules unfortunately are lost in time now. Yeah, then when I started playing video games, I played them a lot, and meanwhile I have, I think, about 14 game consoles. I've even lost count.
But you've got them all. They're all there somewhere.
Oh, not all of them. There are many more. I don't have much Nintendo here, strangely, but I do, of course, have a lot of Sega machines.
Excellent. Excellent.
I
So
think I have 3 Mega Drives and 2 Dreamcasts.
oh, okay. Okay, I've got 3 Dreamcasts, I think. I think 2 of them are working. One of them I need to get fixed. But yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you grew up with video games basically, right? With games and video games then. What is it about video games that captured your imagination that made you even later get into making them as well?
Well, I was always very creative, not just because of the what I said earlier about the game I invented, but also because I really like to draw, and I did that all the time, especially during class. Um, and the thing about video games is it combines so many artistic fields. It's art and it's music and there's story and of course the interactive aspect of it, and that really spoke to me. I think just like the it's like so many art forms combined, and all of them I find interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So I remember last time we spoke, you told us a little bit of your background, professional background, how you started. You didn't start in the video game industry, but then you ended up working for a few companies. You worked on several different projects. What made you want to start your own company and make your own games, your way?
Well, I think that's something a lot of us want. If you have some creative energy and you like video games, then it's the logical step to want to make video games yourself. It's of course starting your own company. That was not really the thing that I wanted, because I hate doing admin, and I don't like I don't like dealing with taxes and all these things. So if I could have done it without starting my own company, I would have. But unfortunately, it's a necessity to start one's own company if you want to do Kickstarter or publish on certain platforms. Then it's mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
But starting our own team is something. We kind of rolled into. I was always tinkering with making games ever since I learned to program, ever since I learned to code. And at some point, I actually had an idea that was interesting enough that my two brothers also wanted to join in. So then we were suddenly a team, and that game was Beats of Rage,
Mm-hmm.
which, as you know, was quite successful. So after that, our team quickly grew with a few more members. We didn't grow to be a very large team. We just had one extra programmer and our composer, who's also done the music for our next game, Russia's Rally Racing, and for Intrepid Izzy as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's it kind of just happened at some point. I guess it's something I was just hobbying for myself, and at some point it grew into something bigger.
Excellent. Were you expecting for it to grow into something as big as it is right now, or?
No, I never expected the huge success of Beats of Rage. That really took us by surprise. Because it's a project that we made really purely for our own enjoyment. So when I said I'll put it on the internet, see if anyone else likes it, maybe 10 people will download it. Maybe we'll get an email. Turns out 1 million people downloaded it, and it became a huge hit. There was it's also the thing that led to because we released the source code, people started porting it to other systems, and
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea at the time that it was even possible to make your own Dreamcast games. But because someone did that, I learned so much about a world that I had no idea about. It's now I still code Dreamcast games, of course, because it's a delightful machine to code for.
Interesting. I didn't know that you weren't behind the other ports of Beats of Rage. So the people, the fans, the community took upon themselves to do that, to port the game to different systems. Then.
That is correct.
Oh, interesting. How does that make you feel, or how did that make you feel at the time, especially? Because you made something like a personal project that you weren't expecting to get as much traction as it did, obviously, and then seeing it on different systems that you never really thought of putting it on. What was your reaction?
It made me feel very happy, obviously. It was an amazing surprise. But it also meant that I was very busy for the next couple of months, because so many people were downloading the game that our server just broke down. So I spent weeks looking for more servers to host it on. And I remember a friend saying, "Oh, a friend of mine has a hosting company. I'll put it there. They have lots of bandwidth. It'll be fine." So the next day, the hosting company went down because of too much traffic. So yeah, it was a joy, but it also caused some problems.
Okay, very good, very nice. So Beats of Rage, that was the first step into this world of having your own company and making games. Then you also mentioned Rush Rally Racing. So that was something that you guys ventured into next. why? So Beats of Rage, I remember, and I have a quote here because as I said, I listened back to some of our last interview, and you said at one point we figured there would never be a Streets of Rage 4. Well then,
That is what we figured. and for
and
many years we were right.
I think we all did. I don't think anyone expected Streets of Rage 4 to be a real thing in 2021. So yeah, but then you decided to go for something completely different. Rush Rally Racing is not a beat 'em up or a fighting game or something like that.
Originally we did want to go for something more in the same vein. Because the after Beats of Rage, we had a concept for another beat 'em up game called Age of the Beast. But even though there was a lot of interest for it, I never managed to finish that project, sadly. I guess I just didn't have enough experience managing projects of that scale. It required a lot of animation, and I didn't have much animation experience either. So that was a constant problem in keeping the project moving. Maybe one day I'll get back to it, but yeah.
So at that time, that wasn't meant to be.
Correct. It was too much for me at that time. But then, one of my brothers discovered that there was a Dreamcast coding contest going on, and we thought we could probably make a small racing game as an entry to that contest. It very quickly became something much bigger than the small racing game than it should have been. Also, the contest was cancelled. So things didn't exactly go as planned. But by the time the contest got cancelled, we already had something that was running quite nicely, and it played very well. So we thought it would be a shame to throw this all away. So then we made it even bigger, and it became another project that took years of our lives.
And then you even released Reloaded, right? So that was
After releasing Rush Rally Racing on the Dreamcast, we thought it might be a good idea to expand to other platforms. So we released it on the Nintendo Wii as well, which was not a great success. I think the Dreamcast version sold probably about 30 times as many.
Wow.
Yeah. WiiWare was not really a good platform to be on, as we found out the hard way, unfortunately. But the Wii version had some extra features added in, because we wanted to give it some a bit more value even than the original. And when people noticed, of course, the difference between the Dreamcast version and the Wii version, they said, we want this on our Dreamcast as well. So then I ported it back to the Dreamcast again, and called it Rush Rally Reloaded to distinguish it from the original. And it has a bunch of extra features, especially for single player modes. The original had one single player mode and 3 multiplayer modes, and now it's more balanced out with 3 single player modes as well.
Excellent. So why racing? Was it just because of that competition, or was a racing game something that you and your brothers wanted to make for a long time, and this was the perfect opportunity?
Well, we were always big fans of the Micro Machines series, which I think probably shows in
a little bit.
Yeah. It's we took inspiration from Micro Machines and a Neo Geo game called Thrash Rally. But a lot of people who see Russia's Rally Racing, they think, oh, this is just like some other racing game that they know, and they often assume that it's based on that, but it's not. It's Micro Machines and Thrash Rally, so it's not GTA or any of those other games that people mentioned. We figured that a racing game, if we'd kept it small as intended, it would have been a fairly easy project, because all the car has to do is rotate, so we don't have to make any complex animations. Animations were the thing that really plagued our previous project, so we wanted to stay away from that.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, very good. So obviously you've had a lot of success with the Dreamcast. You mentioned earlier that it's a delight to code for the Dreamcast. Is it only from a technical perspective, or is it something else that brings you that joy to make things for that console?
It's always cool to make something work on an actual game console. It just feels like something more special than coding for a PC. Anyone can code on a PC, or anyone can even make a game on a PC without being able to code, because there are so many tools available. Yeah. But a game console is specifically made for gaming, and I think the difference shows. It's especially if you've got exactly what the controller is going to be like, that someone's going to hold when playing the game, and you use that information to make the game optimal for that experience. Just the couch gaming experience is different than PC gaming, I think. Not as much these days as it used to be, though. These days, it's I think PC is it's still a different platform than consoles, but it's more similar than it used to be. But,
probably consoles are becoming more similar to PCs.
I think it's going in both directions. Companies like Steam are really pushing for more compatibility with game controllers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And on the other hand, game consoles are including things like Netflix and YouTube and all that stuff, and built-in browsers. It's all getting closer together. But the
Dreamcast was in some ways one of the last of its kind, right?
Yeah, it was, and I still think that the association of a game console, it just has a different feeling, for me at least, in my experience.
Same, yeah, I agree. Yeah, so the Dreamcast was obviously a big success for you guys, and that's
but as for the coding aspect, it's the hardware of the Dreamcast hardware is not too difficult to understand. It doesn't have too many different chips in it, like for example the Saturn, which has way too many processors and audio chips and whatever. Dreamcast is quite straightforward, and that's pleasant. It's a pleasant device to work with. You know what you can expect. Unlike with a PC, where everything is different on every PC, you don't know what resolution you're going to get. You don't know what kind of controller you're going to get.
Yeah, you have to optimize the game for several different PC settings and equipment and stuff. So it's always like a box of surprises.
Yeah, there are just so many different scenarios that you have to account for. And with a game console, that's not the case. You can just go for what's optimal for that system.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes sense. And so that brings us to Intrepid Izzy. right? We last time you came on the show, we talked about it a little bit, but now it's a real thing. It's a project that's done. It's out in the world. It's a great platforming game. But better than me saying it's a great platforming game, what is Intrepid Izzy, Rule? For people not in the know.
Well, first of all, it's a platforming game, and thank you for saying that it's a good one. But I mixed it with some beat 'em up influences. I still love beat 'em ups, and especially Streets of Rage. So I did take some Streets of Rage influence in designing this game. So the fighting, the combo system when fighting is very much inspired by by Streets of Rage. Sorry. So you just repeat the same button, but the character makes different attacks in a certain series. I just like that way of fighting, and so it's a platformer. It's also a beat 'em up, but it's also an adventure game where you have to explore large levels and find certain items and figure out how to use them.
Yeah, I like the aspect of it. It's not very complex or complicated, but it's a nice little touch to be able to go back to levels and use certain items that you didn't have at that point, get other items or unlock certain parts of the levels and stuff. So that's an interesting side of the game that I wasn't aware that it was going to have. So a pleasant surprise, I think.
I'm glad you like it. And also important to mention for people who don't know it yet is that in this game you also collect costumes for the main character that don't just make her look different but also give her different powers. So if you have the vampire costume, you can change into a bat, that sort of thing. And there are, I think, 6 different outfits in total in the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's something that changes gameplay a lot as well. So that's important for people to know. And
it's vital in completing the game.
Exactly, it is. And so you decided to go to Kickstarter to get some funding, some monies to make this project happen. Obviously, it went well. So you've released the game now on both Steam and Dreamcast, which is probably what many people in the community were expecting and eager to get their hands on the Dreamcast version. It's now into the world, and people are playing it, loving it. But there are plans for more, right? For more versions.
There is a plan for PlayStation 4 port as well. That is correct. But so far, I haven't made much progress with the PlayStation 4 version. It's kind of difficult to get in touch with Sony about certain things when you're not a huge AAA developer. So it's been a bit of a frustrating process, but we're looking into ways of solving that. I can't say much more at this time because there's no definitive solution yet, but we're working on it.
Okay. Soon, TM. Okay.
Exactly.
Any plans for? Because I know people will ask this. Any plans for a Switch version? Because people want everything on the Switch, and this actually looks like a game that would suit the Nintendo Switch, quite nicely.
Yeah, I think so too. It seems to fit with the Switch audience. Although I would have liked the Switch better if it had a D-pad on it, but by default, I mean, you can of course use the different Pro controller. But, that's something we're also looking into. But no definitive plans yet. So.
Okay. So keep your eyes on social media and the website and stuff like that, and for news, right?
Of course, when we know more, then we will definitely let everyone know.
Okay. So going back to the Kickstarter rule, it was a success. So people, you got the funding that you needed. What was it? How was it, by the way? Because was it a nerve-wracking process? I always like to ask people this because I'm curious about how it is the experience of getting a Kickstarter project, and then were you always checking the numbers and the total? I know there's like a daily email you get with the total so far and how many people are backing, etc. But were you always like on the edge of your seat, watching the numbers grow or stuff?
It was the most, one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. It was really hard work too. It's I think I spent I calculated then about 100 hours a week just on managing the Kickstarter campaign, answering questions, trying to get more exposure, and checking the numbers a lot. We only just made it to the goal, and only because I found some people interested to back very large amounts. But it was difficult. I think people at the time were a bit wary of backing a Dreamcast project because of some other projects that had not delivered.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult to get people engaged, to get people active. Also, back when Kickstarter was a new thing, everyone would write about it.
Mm-hmm.
Every journalist, every magazine would write about new Kickstarter campaigns because it was this amazing new way of bringing games into the world. And by the time I got to do my Kickstarter, it wasn't a new thing anymore. And journalists didn't want to write about it because they were all like, first make your game and then we'll see. So it was very difficult to get to reach
the attention
a big
of
enough
people.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think things have changed since then, a little bit, or not?
Maybe. I guess I'll know if I try to start another Kickstarter.
I was asking that because I think there's a slight shift in perspective. Because I think you're right. So at first, everyone was backing everything, and everyone was excited because there were a lot of new games for like dead consoles. Let's not call them dead, like old school consoles. But people were very excited to have these new games on their old consoles and stuff. Then there were some disappointments, as you said. There are a couple that come to mind, and that made people a little bit afraid of, getting sending their money to people who wouldn't deliver. But now I think I see people again a little bit more open to backing certain projects, at least. I don't know. Maybe it's just my perspective that changed. I don't know.
Well, I hope your perspective is correct. Perhaps I've helped restore people's faith in crowdfunding a little. We certainly did get a lot of positive feedback on the way we handled the Kickstarter campaign, especially the process of managing the project once funding was successful. We posted very frequent updates about the development process, at least once a month, usually.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen multiple people saying that this is how a Kickstarter is done right. So that's a big compliment. And
yeah, because you if people backed waiting for the Dreamcast game or expecting the Dreamcast game, was close to 4 years of wait. If you don't tell people how the game is going, how the process of development is going, people will start to worry and freak out, right?
And rightly so.
So it makes that's what I think most of the times happens. There are long silences between updates, and that's what makes people a little bit weary of backing games.
Yeah, it's a bit strange to me that so many teams just fail to post frequent updates, because if you're working on the game at just a normal pace, then there should be more than enough to tell every month.
Yeah. By the way, would you like to tell us a little bit about that process of... So the Kickstarter ended. Then I know there's a process of waiting for Kickstarter to finalize the process of getting the money over to you. There are people who don't, and at the end who cancel their pledges, or their problems with like credit cards and stuff. So it's usually there are a few weeks, I think, right, until everything is concluded. Yeah. So when you got the money, in all the way until this year, when you got the game out into the world, how was that process like? What happened? What challenges did you have to face?
Well, the first challenge is something you already mentioned. That some of the backers had credit card problems, or for some other reason, the money just didn't transfer. So the amount that's listed on Kickstarter is actually not the amount that was actually transferred to Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
What Kickstarter shows is the number that was pledged, not the number that was actually collected. So it turns out we were actually slightly underfunded from the start. That's a bit of a problem. But still, it was enough to get to keep me working on the game full time for quite some time. And development was very, very fast in that time, and I really enjoyed it too, being able to just focus on developing my own game. So that was great, I must say.
Because this wasn't just a side project. This was your full-time job at this point.
It was, but not just from the Kickstarter money, I have to say. I also invested a quite considerable sum of my own savings. But it was something I really wanted to do, just be able to work full-time on my own game. And that's... I'm very thankful that was made possible, largely thanks to Kickstarter and Kickstarter backers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for apart from the slight, underfunding, it was going very well until, of course, there came the point that the funds ran out, and I had to find a job again.
Okay.
So from that point on, development wasn't quite as quick as it used to be, but still, it didn't take too long for me to complete the Steam version, which launched about a year ago. And after that, of course, the Dreamcast version was next, and that took quite a bit longer than I expected. And one of the major reasons for that is simply the corona outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem that it's not really a problem to be to have a lockdown, because I was, of course, sitting at my computer anyway. So what does it matter if there's a lockdown? But the truth is very different. It's first of all, it's not healthy for my psyche, which makes it more difficult to concentrate. Secondly, it was also difficult to get the game tested properly. Normally, we would have testing sessions with. We would invite a lot of friends, and then everyone would play, and I would take notes of every potential problem area, and that just wasn't possible because of the lockdown. So I had to do a lot of testing myself, which of course I always do test myself, but now I had to test it even more. So that took a lot of time that I could have normally spent on development. So everything took a bit longer. I wasn't quite as focused, so that also made it take longer.
Yeah.
All in all, the pandemic was really a big problem for this project.
Mm-hmm. And even the physical releases probably were affected, or the release was affected. The production, the actual production, right?
Production was also affected. That is correct. Suppliers of course depend on our suppliers, depend on their suppliers, and they all depend on stuff being shipped all over the world, which is still a problem at this time, even though in the Netherlands the pandemic is pretty much at its end. It's expected that in a few weeks the last of the lockdown rules, or whatever you want to call it,
the restrictions.
Will be revoked. The restrictions, that's the word I was looking for. The last of the restrictions will probably be revoked in a few weeks, is the expectation at least. That doesn't mean that everything is all right with the world.
Yeah.
Just sending a package to another country still takes much longer than usual.
On top of that, new rules for people in the EU when it comes to shipping things out of your country into your country. That probably the effects of Brexit as well, which I believe the UK is probably a big market for your game. I'm guessing, because there's a large fan base of Dreamcast players there as well. So
you guessed correctly.
Yeah, that probably didn't help either.
No, it didn't help. But I was very lucky to find a distributor in the UK. Actually,
nice.
They found me.
Okay.
Which is Wave Game Studios. There are actually two people, and one of them is a backer of Intrepid Izzy. So they got in touch with me and said, "Hey, we'd like to order a large number of copies to distribute in the UK," and that's they've done so very successfully, I must say.
Excellent. That was a big help. Then, good. Okay, very good. So, Roel, thank you very much for your candid answers and sharing a little bit of this process, which I believe was probably nerve-wracking at points, especially considering the challenges that you just shared with us. But we'll talk a little bit more about the game. We're just going to take a quick break now, and we'll come back with more on Intrepid Izzy.
Awesome.
Hello, the SEGA Lounge listeners. This is Rapsi here. This is not the first time you're listening to me, for sure. You might have heard me on Radio Sega's live shows and programming, and maybe on streams as well on twitch.tv/Radio Sega. Today I am here to sell you a game in 60 seconds apparently, and that game is going to be Virtual On Oratorio Tangram. So without further ado, here we go. Virtual On is a mecha battle series that was created for the Model 2 arcade board and got its first release in 1996. It got some traditional fighting game elements, like the life bars for both players. What sets Virtual On apart, however, is that you control your Virtuaroid freely through a 3D arena, as you'll be required to use your weapons and skill and maneuver through an arena's specific obstacles, elevation and hazards to your advantage, and exploit your opponent's lack of thereof. You use one of the many characters available to you. Every single one of them is absolutely unique, both visually and gameplay-wise. If you're into real-time, one-on-one battles that are a mix of fighting, action, and strategy on the go, a thrilling one at that, this is definitely worth a try. The Virtual On series, Western presence, has been unfortunately hibernating for a long time, although you can still buy Oratorio Tangram on Xbox Live Arcade.
Welcome back, Roel. Welcome back to the SEGA Lounge. We're talking about Intrepid Izzy. We've talked about the challenges of getting this game done and in people's hands, which is what we always want with these new awesome games. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but Roel, last time you were here, we played a little game, and I hope you don't remember, because it was probably such a traumatic experience that you erase it from your memory. Something, because it's a tradition here on the lounge. We always have something we like to call the SEGA Lounge Challenge.
Now that you know our guests, it's time to put them to the test. It's the moment we've waited for, and the moment they dread.
Welcome to your doom.
I mean, welcome to the SEGA Lounge Challenge.
Last time, I didn't remember this either, but I was listening back, and last time I was here with a guest co-host. A winner was you, who was, as you called him, your SEGA guru. So he was like your lifeline, your help to answer our questions. This time, you're all alone, but I think you'll do fine. This is a different challenge that I have to give to you, to propose to you. It's called the ultimate.
I vaguely remember this now. Yeah.
This was the show that I said I would never get back on. I remember now. I after I finished that show, I said I will never get back on the SEGA Lounge. Yeah, that's it. But it was a quiz. Yeah, it was a quiz. This time I have something different for you. Okay. I've been doing this season with most of my guests, called something called the Ultimate SEGA Fan Challenge. So what this is a bit of a quiz as well, but there's music involved, and you can get up to 20 points. That's the max score you can get on these questions. But my goal for you is just to get 10 points. 10 points will be enough, okay? You think you're up for the challenge?
That depends.
We'll see. Yeah, right. So, this is how it works now. So, the first question is a question, and you have to pick between an easy or hard question. An easy question, a correct answer to an easy question gets you 1 point. A correct answer to a hard question gets you 2 points. So, it's up to you. And it's going to be like that for most of the game. So, which one do you want? An easy or hard SEGA-related question?
Well, let's start with easy.
You are a wise man. No one ever does that, and they regret it instantly. Okay, so let's start with an easy question. Are you familiar with the game Outrun?
I am somewhat familiar with the game Outrun.
Okay, this is an easy question, so I think
I'm not an expert.
I think this is really, really easy, though. So the question is, in Outrun, what brand of cars do you drive?
Definitely Ferrari.
Ferrari.
I think Ferrari. Are there any other brands that we drive in Outrun? I mean, it's red, right? So it has to be a Ferrari.
It's red. And in the original ones, you only have the red car, yeah. So, Ferrari? Final
I'm
answer.
going for Ferrari. That's my final answer.
Are you sure?
No, of course I'm not sure. You're making me doubt myself.
That's correct. It is a Ferrari. Yes.
Okay, for a moment there, I thought I was going crazy.
That's how it works here. Okay. So 1 point. Good job. Good job.
Oh, it wasn't music related though.
That's what I'm going to say now. So the next one is music related, because what I have for you is a short 10-second long clip of a Sega track.
Oh, before we do that,
Yes.
did you know that Outrun is now also a musical genre?
Yeah, it's like part of like synthwave, right?
Right.
And you should definitely listen to it because it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Everyone should listen to Outrun
Yes.
as a genre.
Listen to Outrun and to music from the game Outrun as well. It's great. Okay, so this is not Outrun music, but could be the genre, but could be Outrun music the game. I don't know. You tell me, okay? So 1 point, you get 1 point for the game, 1 point for what track it is. And when I mean the track,
Oh,
you
this
can...
is a game I used to play with my brother, but
Ooh.
yeah, we'd play remixes of Mega Drive music to each other, and then have the other one guess.
Excellent. Excellent. So that will probably help you. You don't need to tell me the title of the track. If you do, all awesome. That's easy. If you don't know the title, you can tell me the stage, where it plays in the game. If you can tell me that you know what it is, I will give you the extra point, okay? Ready for the first one?
I guess I'll have to be.
Let's take a listen.
Ah, yes, I knew it.
That's
So
it.
that's Panzer Dragoon, composed by Yoshitaka Azuma, and it's level 1. Anything else you need to know?
I just need the correct answer. Is that the correct answer?
Well, that depends what the question is.
The question
But I
is,
believe the question
which
was,
game
which
it's
game
from?
is it, and,
Yes.
and which part of the game?
Exactly.
So I gave you those, and I also told you the composer, so that's another bonus point for me.
That's not how it works.
It is now.
It is. But I will give you 2 points. Correct. Yes. Yes. Okay, so if you don't get the 10 points, I will give you an extra bonus point because of the composer. Good job. This is Flight. You had the first level from Panzer Dragoon. Good job. Good job.
Thank
That
you.
was
Thank you.
Almost instant. Okay. Question number 3. So again, a question. Easy or hard rule?
Well, since I've now done 2 questions, right? And I've scored 3
So 3 points so far, yes.
So I'm ahead, so I can take the risk and go for hard.
Okay. I like that reasoning. Okay. So okay. Let's go with this one. I have a list. That's why
I'm preparing to regret this.
I'm laughing because what I do is I pick the questions on the fly. So at the exact moment you choose, because I have a list of easy and hard questions. So I'm just scrolling and laughing. Okay, like an evil genius. Question for you. Shenmue 2. Are you familiar with Shenmue 2?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. Okay, so let's see. In Shenmue 2, what morning task does Ryo have to perform every day at Manmo Temple? There's a point in the game, to offer you some context. There's a point in the game where you reach the Manmo Temple. You are looking for a master. And
Yeah, I know I've seen it, but
oh, really?
I have no idea what task it was.
And until you
He has to sweep. He has to sweep the square.
So
Is that it?
until you're ready to progress to a different stage of the game, every single day, you do the same thing.
But it's not sweeping.
I'm not sure. I'm just giving you some context to allow you to give a better answer, or the correct answer, actually. I'm not saying the one that you gave me is not. I'm not saying that. You're just assuming. What would be something that you could do every day that would make sense? Sweeping could be a daily task. Definitely.
Yeah, well, it could be something completely different, but that's the only thing that somehow emerged in my mind, so that's what I'm going for. If it's something else, I'm not going to guess it anyway.
Okay, so sweeping the floor of the temple, perhaps. Yeah?
Well, I thought it was outside the temple, but since...
Outside, okay, outside. No, it's okay, I don't know.
Of course you know. You have the answers there.
And I've played the game. So you said you saw it somewhere. So did you watch some videos?
My brother played the game.
Oh.
And I do think I watched the bit where he was at the temple.
Mm-hmm.
But that was so many years ago.
Yeah. Have you ever played the first one yourself, or no?
For a bit. Mm-hmm. But I didn't finish it. My brother had more fun playing it, so I just let him play it. And
okay.
I was content watching.
Okay. This is my favorite video game series of all time, Shenmue. So I have a special fondness for all these bits of trivia regarding Shenmue. The answer, Rule, to this ever important question, something that will help you in your life, knowing this from now on. You will never forget this. So every day, Ryo has to do something other than sweeping the floor of the temple, inside, outside, whatever. He has to air out the books. So every day, he has to go in. There's a small library in a small building just next to the temple. He has to bring out all the books, and they are opened on like some benches outside to air out.
I have no memory of that whatsoever.
And that the mini game is Ryo has to pick up piles of books, and you have to guide Ryo, but you can't go too fast, otherwise you trigger a QTE section. And if you fail the QTE, he drops the books. So that's the game, the mini game there. So,
okay, and that makes sense. Well, thank you for giving me the hint of what's a task that you might have to do every day. That really helped.
You have to air out books, because otherwise, they'll smell and
they'll smell bad.
They'll smell bad. So it makes sense. Or maybe not. Okay. Anyway, 3 points still. Let's go with another song, shall we? So it's the same thing. 1 point for game, 1 point for track. And I will store the bonus point if you can tell me the composer again. Okay. Let's take a listen.
Well, I believe that's the Sonic Mania title screen. And I should know the composer because I've seen it recently. Oh, but what was his name? Lopez?
Maybe.
Well?
Maybe.
You tell me.
So, you're saying Sonic Mania title screen by someone called Lopez.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Are you sure?
No, but you're going to
Should I play it
you're
again?
going to relieve me of this insecurity, this doubt.
Should I
This
play it
crushing
again?
doubt.
Just in
No,
case?
no,
Or
you
no?
don't, you don't need
It's-
to play it again.
You're fairly confident in yourself, in your answer?
Well, I might be completely wrong, but then I'd have to call myself an idiot.
So,
But if knowing that you're an idiot is also very valuable knowledge. So
that's true.
let's hear it.
Yeah. So the composer of Sonic Mania, by the way, not saying this is Sonic Mania, but the composer is fellow Portuguese T-Lopes, or as people say,
Okay.
but it's actually T-Lopes in Portuguese. But okay,
Ah.
okay. I'm not
Okay,
salty.
so I
I'm not salty.
mispronounced it, but it
No,
was,
it's okay. It's okay.
I was on the right track.
Everyone does. Everyone does. So yeah. So you know who did the soundtrack to the game. Is it Sonic Mania though? The actual title of the track is Discovery. That's how it's called. And it is a title screen track from a game called Sonic Mania. 2 points. Good job. Well done.
What? Why 2 points? I thought I was getting a bonus point.
No,
for
no,
the
it's
composer.
it's stored for you just in case
it's
you
just-
need it in the end.
Oh, right. That's my wild card. Okay.
You have 2 stored, tucked away in the corner, just in case. Okay, so that means 5 official actual points so far. And we're almost halfway there. So number 5 is another question. Easy or hard rule?
Well, let's go easy again because the hard one was definitely too hard for me.
Okay. Okay. We've mentioned this. It was a surprise, a pleasant surprise. We now have Streets of Rage 4. Have you played Streets of Rage 4, Rule?
I have.
You have. Have you enjoyed it?
Yes, but also no. There were some things which, personally, I would have done differently, and things that kind of irked me. But
Okay. Fair enough. So your question, your easy question is a multiple choice question, actually. Which of the following pop culture references does not appear in the sewer section of Streets of Rage 4? There are loads of Easter eggs in Streets of Rage 4. So there's a sewer section. And in that section, there are a few references to pop culture. So which one does not appear there? Option A, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Option B, Shinobi. Option C, Childish Gambino. Which is very
I don't
specific.
even know what a Childish Gambino
Childish Gambino is a rapper. And he's also an actor, but he's called Donald Glover. If you're familiar with shows like Community and stuff like that. And even the Star Wars film Solo. He was Lando Calrissian.
I know who Donald Glover
Yeah.
is. Okay, I had
So
no idea.
His
that he was
his
also a rapper.
rapping persona is Childish Gambino.
Okay, well that explains why I had no idea what that even meant.
So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Yeah,
Shinobi,
Teenage
or
Mutant Ninja Turtles
or Donald
would make
Glover.
sense to have in there, of course.
So two of these are in the game, in the
Right,
sewer
what
section.
was option B again?
Shinobi.
Shinobi would also make sense to have to have a reference to, especially since it's also a Sega property. And the Childish Gambino is such a it's so out of the blue that it's so disconnected from the subject
Yeah.
that I can scarcely imagine that you would have made that one up.
Okay. So right now, what would be your answer without me telling you anything else?
I should have paid more attention when I was playing the sewer level. I'm on one hand, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would make the most sense to have there. On the other hand, it might be legally tricky because it's not a Sega-owned IP.
Could
So
just
I'm
be a
going for
reference.
that one. Yeah, it's just a reference. That's true.
Could
of
just
course,
be a
and it's-
reference, not the exact drawings of the turtles.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something that will probably mess things up. But
I'm going for the Gambino
okay, so
because even if I had seen him, I wouldn't have recognized him.
okay, so
So
the thing that will probably mess things up a bit is all of these appear in the game somewhere,
oh, they do.
and there are more. There are more. For example, there's Sonic.
Well, I guess
the
it's
sewer
going
level
to
as
be
well.
Shinobi then, because it would make more sense to place the Shinobi reference in a different level. So I'm going for Shinobi.
So at this point, you've said, I'm going with the Turtles, I'm going with Childish Gambino, I'm going with Shinobi. So
Yeah, but Shinobi is my final answer.
are you sure?
No.
So do you think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles make sense in the sewers, right?
It makes the most sense.
Makes the most sense. Then Childish Gambino. Why?
Well, I know nothing about
Why not,
Childish
right?
Gambino. I couldn't say anything sensible about... nothing I could say about this Childish Gambino. Even the two words Childish Gambino don't mean anything to me. It's like two completely random, disconnected words. It has no meaning. It doesn't connect in my brain. But
He's a Gambino who is childish.
what is a Gambino anyway?
Don't ask me questions that I don't know the answers to.
Oh, apologies. But the only reason behind the only reasoning behind my answer is that I think it would make more sense to put the Shinobi reference in a different level, one of the levels where there's actually ninja stuff going on.
Okay.
So I'm going for Shinobi.
So your final answer is Shinobi.
That is my final answer.
I'm gonna lock it in and tell you. Let's go in parts. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles do appear in the sewer section of the game at the start, if I'm not mistaken. It's a reference. It's like you can see like a rat and 4 turtles, and that's why you know it's a reference to the Teenage
I've
Mutant
probably
Ninja
seen
Turtles.
it and then failed to remember it.
Yeah, but it's just a rat and 4 turtles, so not exactly the Ninja Turtles, but you know it's a reference.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. So Shinobi or Childish Gambino? Well, Shinobi appears in the game in the form of like a graffiti drawing of Shinobi, of Joe Musashi from the games. It's like quite big. And Childish Gambino is in the crowd at a certain point in the game.
Oh, but
So
I
the-
don't think there's a crowd in the sewers.
In the sewers. So the correct answer would be Childish Gambino. Unfortunately, he is in the crowd during the fight with Max in the Y Tower stage. And so are some of the developers of the game in the crowd for that
I
fight.
see.
Okay, I just learned this recently. I
Oh,
thought
you just
this-
learned this recently, and still you thought it was an easy question.
Because as you said, it was the one that made more sense at first. But then as you progressed to your reasoning, you changed to Shinobi. So,
I
yeah.
I changed from from each answer to every other answer. It's
It's okay. It's okay. 5 points, halfway
well,
there.
at least I didn't go with my first instinct, which was also wrong.
Yes. But that could be a trick question as well. You know, the turtles make sense, so maybe they're not there. But no, they are. They are. Okay, rule. Number 6, another song. Ready for this? Of course you are,
Okay.
because you're crushing the songs. Let's take a listen. I mean, if you don't get this one,
Well, then I'd have to hang myself.
probably.
This is Streets of Rage 2. I believe the song is called Go Straight. Composer Yuzo Koshiro.
No, I forgot about that, yes. I forgot about the composer point.
And it's the first level. What more can I say?
Maybe I can tell you something. Correct. 2 points, obviously, with an extra one stored away, just in case.
It's those extra stored away points that really make me proud.
You're counting on...
Those are the ones I'm taking home.
Yes. Okay, you have 3 already. So if everything else fails, you have 7 proper points and 3 bonus, so you'll get the 10, okay?
I wonder if I mispronounced every composer, but
Don't worry. I do that all the time. No one has sued me or sent me any hate mail, so I think
right.
we're good.
Well, the first composer we talked about is already dead, so he can't.
Oh,
sue
yeah,
me
that's
anymore.
true. Okay. Rule number 7. Easy or hard question?
Well, the easy question was hard enough. Thank you very much. So I'll go for easy.
Okay. Okay. World of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. A Mega Drive game. Yes?
Yes, I've played it.
Okay, good. So, in World of Illusion, how do Mickey and Donald attack their enemies? That's the question.
Yeah. Okay. And I know the answer. It's just what's the best word for it? They use a piece of cloth. They use almost like a tablecloth that they pull over their enemies. It's not actually a tablecloth, of course. It's more like a magician's cloth that I would drape over something.
A cape, then.
Yeah, or a cape might be. Yeah. In any case, a piece of cloth that they wave in the direction of their enemies, and some sparkles fly out, and the enemies are defeated thusly. Yeah, that's my answer.
That was very descriptive, and so
yeah, I couldn't really find the right word for it. So I
know, but I have no choice but to give you 1 point. Well done. Very good. That's exactly it. Yes, using their capes, their magic capes or something. Yeah, that's true. Okay, well done. So that's 8 so far, and we're going into question 8, which is not a question. It's another song. But this is the last song rule, so there's a twist.
And the twist is this time I don't know the answer.
It's reversed. So
oh my lord!
Can you guess this? I know you know this one as well. But can you guess it while it's playing in reverse? Let's take a listen. Same rules, so. Okay. Even for composer as well.
I think it's from Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm going to say Marble Zone. I don't know the composer, sorry.
Okay. So your answer is Sonic the Hedgehog?
No, wait. My answer is going to be the Labyrinth Zone. Sonic the Hedgehog Labyrinth Zone.
Why the sudden change?
Something about the tempo of the sound, maybe. I don't know. It's just suddenly I thought, no, it's going to be Labyrinth Zone. It just occurred to me. Might be a completely wrong occurrence, but that's what I think now.
Okay. So, final answer, Sonic 1, Labyrinth Zone.
Yes.
Okay. So you get 1 point for the game. It is Sonic 1, which means you get 9 points. Do you get the second point or not? The best way to find out is to listen to the song, not in reverse. And you tell me. Yes, it is.
Well, hey, I thought I was going to tell you.
Oh, yes. So now you say, no, it's Marble Zones. Ah, why? No, it is. It is Labyrinth Zone. So 2 points. That means you get the 10 minimum that you needed.
That's awesome.
Good job. We have 2 more questions, though.
Genius confirmed.
Exactly. And we have 3 bonus points there stored. We don't need them, but, just so you can feel better about yourself.
We can keep them for a rainy day.
Yeah. So, last 2 questions. Question number 9 is the last one you can pick between an easy or a hard question. Because question 10 is always hard. So, for glory this time, just for fun.
What shall I do? Easy or hard? Well, you're not going to tell me what the subject is going to be of this hard question, are you?
I could pick one before I tell you. There are so
I already
many.
have my 10 points, so...
Yeah.
Okay,
let's Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 2. Would you like that? A hard question.
Sure. I've already said I'd like a hard question.
Oh, yeah?
I mean,
okay.
I'm going all... I'm going
all in.
Full force.
Yes. So, hard question, Streets of Rage 2. In stage 4 of Streets of Rage 2, the baseball stadium, which of the following options is a sentence that you can see in the background? There are some sentences. One of these is a sentence that you can see, and 2 are not. So, option A, it's like Boo. Boo, B-O-O. Option B, Dodgers forever. Eva, E-V-A. Option C, play ball. So it's like
only
Boo.
one of these appears
only one of
in
these.
the background.
It's like Boo, Dodgers forever, or play ball.
Well, David, I can tell you that it's option A. It's like Boo.
Why?
I just recognize that sentence. It's. I know I've seen it in Streets of Rage 2.
What is like Boo? So many questions.
Well, it.
Yeah, but what? What is Boo?
Well, it says so in the text. It is like Boo.
Okay. Why question the sentence? I see. So option A, it's like Boo. Are you sure?
I'm fairly certain.
You're fairly certain. Fun fact: there's another sentence you can see, which is do baseball
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Do baseball. I don't know why the exclamation mark after do, or why it's not play, but okay. Your answer, Rule, is correct. Of course.
Yes.
2 more points.
I got a hard one correct.
Yes, well done. And that means we're at 12 points.
My mum will be so proud.
I know she will. Your highest achievement in your life, obviously, is to get a hard question in this game.
Obviously.
Obviously. Okay.
In fact, I think I'll need to take a recording of this podcast and take it to my boss so I can get a raise.
Okay. Last question. Hard question as well. Okay, this is the last one. and we're gonna go back to Streets of Rage 4 just because why not?
Because that's
Because
the Streets of Rage I know the least about.
no, because I was playing through the game, the main campaign the other day, and I noticed a few things, and I thought they would make good questions. So in stage 10 of Streets of Rage 4, which is called To the Concert, you fight on rooftops, and at one point, you can see the clothes of a famous video game character hanging out to dry. Which character is it? And
Oh, is
I
it multiple choice?
can't give you any clues here.
I know I've seen it, but
You've seen it, okay?
but I don't remember.
There's a very famous. You can tell by the clothes who the character is. There are. I don't think there are many. I don't know. Maybe there are, but I don't know. I don't think there are many video game characters that are just recognizable by their clothes. Maybe I don't know.
I think tons of video game
Maybe they
characters
are. Maybe they are.
recognizable
Yes.
just by their clothes. But even though I don't actually remember who it was a female character, right? I'm going to say Tyrus Flare,
Okay.
because that's what I would have done.
Would you be able to recognize Tyrus Flare by her clothes?
Well,
Maybe.
even though they're very tiny.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. A shiny metal bikini. Yeah, that's
Okay. So
that's recognizable enough.
Tyrus Flare is your answer.
Well, nothing better comes to mind, so that's what I'm going for.
So a shiny metal bikini hanging out to dry. Could be. Final answer? Tyrus Flare?
Well,
From
unless you have
Golden
any other
Axe?
suggestions.
I have a lot of suggestions. I even
Yes,
have
but-
the right answer.
I have a sneaking suspicion that your suggestions will be the wrong answers.
Who do you take me for? Okay.
For a slightly sadistic show host.
Yes. Quite right. Accurate. So final answer.
Was it-
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Is it?
so this question you just asked,
Uh-huh.
who do you take me for? Do I get any points for giving the right answer?
No, because I'm a sadistic show host.
No bonus questions.
No
for me
bonus
anymore.
points.
Okay, yeah. Tyrus Flare is my final answer.
Tyrus Flare is your final answer. Roel from Senile Team. We had such a great time on the SEGA Lounge today.
But then it all ended in disaster.
But in the end, your answer is unfortunately incorrect.
Oh no.
The correct answer may surprise you. It's Mario, actually. You can see the overalls, the hat, I think the gloves as well. I don't know, but you can definitely tell it's Mario's clothes in the To the Concert stage in Streets of Rage 4. So no points there, but
Yep, those clothes are very recognizable too.
Very
Probably more so than Tyrus Flare. But you know
a
what?
bit more.
I'd have rather seen Tyrus Flare's clothes.
No regrets. I think that's an awesome answer either way.
It may not be the right answer, but it is the better answer.
The better answer, yes. It's the answer the people were craving for, I'm sure. So that means 12 points in the end, which is surprisingly a very, very good result. People struggle to get 10, so that was amazing. Well done. And that means you also get our SEGA Lounge seal of approval, which I think it has changed since you were last on the show. So I will email it to you later, and you will be the proud owner. Then you can show it to your boss, to your mom, and your life will finally be complete. Yeah.
Finally, I will get my life on track.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anytime. Okay, so we're almost done here, Rule. But let's talk just a little bit more about Intrepid Izzy. So for people who are listening to this and were not aware that this was a game that is available, so they obviously can get it now from Steam for the Dreamcast. What would you say to like convince them to play this game, to give it a try?
Well, so far, everyone who's tried it was very pleasantly surprised. Some people originally thought, this might not be the game for me. Even during the Kickstarter, I had some trouble getting people excited because they were sure what to expect. But everyone who's tried it was very pleasantly surprised. And so that's one thing. If you have your doubts, no need to have your doubts. It's great. The other thing to convince them is that before the pandemic, I took an early version of the game to some conventions to demo it there, and some of the people who tried it, who had actually paid good money to get into the convention, spent upwards of 90 minutes just playing the game. They started and they were completely... It was like they completely forgot they were at a convention at all. and like 90 minutes, maybe 100 minutes later, they suddenly noticed, oh, wait a minute, there's other things to see here. Maybe I should stop playing for a while. But yeah, they were instantly hooked. So that was wonderful.
That's a good pitch. Yeah, that's a good pitch. I will say that it's surprisingly more complex than it shows at first. So I think people will, if people get invested in it and play and keep playing, they will see that it's quite more, not as simple as it looks at first. So I think at first people can get the wrong idea that it's just a simple game, that it's just platforming game. But there's more to it that you can, obviously unlock and find as you progress. So my advice would be to stick playing and stick to playing the game for a little bit more, and you'll find more things. And I think in the end, it'll be an overall very, very pleasant experience. It looks great. Sounds good as well.
It's like Transformers, more than meets the eye.
There you go. There's your new pitch, your new tagline. Intrepid
It's
Izzy.
like Transformers.
It's like Transformers. and then asterisk, more than meets the eye. If people don't get a reference, you can explain it. Yeah, like a footnote or something. Okay. Rule. A question for you regarding this. I wouldn't call it homebrew, because this is actually a professionally developed and released game. But there are in recent years we've seen a growth of people making games for older consoles that don't see official releases anymore. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you see the future of this so-called homebrew or retro console scene?
Well, first of all, I think it's wonderful. I think it's great that these old systems, which brought us all so much joy, are still getting well-deserved attention from developers. So that's something I'm definitely very happy with. Even though I don't actually own many of these products. I mean, I do have a Neo Geo, but it's not really functioning very well, so it would be a stupid idea for me to buy new Neo Geo games now. But I do think it's really cool that they're still being made. And as for the future, yeah, I think this kind of thing helps helps preserve old systems, and that's a good thing too, because there were some worries that at some point some of the old systems might not, the games libraries might just be lost, because at some point all these systems start to fail, and some of them don't even have emulators for them, some of the lesser known systems.
Yeah.
And I think the interest in retro systems improves the chances of such things being preserved in one way or another. So I think I see only positives.
Excellent. Obviously, you've got your work cut out for you with Intrepid Izzy still for, future ports and stuff. But are there any plans for other games soon that you're thinking of working on and stuff?
Well, several people have requested that I return to Age of the Beast, but even more this time have requested a sequel to Intrepid Izzy.
Okay.
And I think both options are interesting, but I won't make my decision until I've had some rest, because it's been such hard work making this game. And I really need a vacation to let my brain cool down before I can make any kind of rational decision.
Yeah. Well-deserved vacation as well, might I add. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope you can do that soon, and get your ideas in order, get the creative juices flowing again. That also helps, right? And maybe it's not either of those options. Maybe it's something that you haven't thought of yet. Or we don't know yet, maybe. You have thought of it. We just don't know it. Ooh.
Could be. Who knows?
Who knows?
Well,
Okay.
even I don't know at this point, so I guess that means nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Okay. We'll stay tuned and try to learn what it is soon. Okay. One last question, Rule. I always ask this. I can't remember if I asked this to you last time or not, but it's sort of a traditional question here. Are you familiar with the concept of blast processing?
Yes,
Yes.
I am familiar with the term blast processing.
Okay, so I usually ask this to all of my guests. If you could add blast processing to anything in the world, what would it be and why?
I guess romantic relationships, because I kind of struggle with those.
That's quite an emotional answer. How would that work? Like the blast processing was supposed to make things more powerful and faster. So would that help in a romantic relationship?
Well, if it means finding powerful relationships faster, then that would definitely help. But if it meant that the relationship was over faster, then that would be a problem.
I see. Okay, let's all think about that. Let's all take a moment to think about that. But for now, Roel, that was a great answer. Thank you very much for coming on the SEGA Lounge again. And I hope we can have you back in maybe when you have already forgotten all about this traumatic experience, so that you will say yes again and talk about the new project. This
experience was not traumatic at all, David.
Oh, really? Oh.
I mean, I got my 10 points.
Yeah, I should have made this harder then.
I'm very happy today.
Roel, thank you very much. All the best for Intrepid Izzy on Steam, on Dreamcast, all the ports there are to come. And all the best for you and your team.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you very much for coming.
All the best to the SEGA Lounge.
Thank you. Thanks again to Roel for being such a great guest. We shall never forget he earned 3 bonus points in our challenge. What a legend. Check the show notes for the links to buy Intrepid Izzy on Steam or the Dreamcast version from select online retailers. It's a very fun game, so do check it out. As always, my thanks to you for listening to The Lounge. I'll be back next week with a new episode, and as I said in the beginning, we'll soon be covering the more recent SEGA games releases like Sonic Colors Ultimate and Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Follow us everywhere so you don't miss out. Also, remember that you can get 10% off any purchase you make at our online store, thesegalounge.com/store, by using the promo code TSL7. That's TSL and the number 7 at checkout. It's valid until October 31st. With that, I bid you all farewell. Stay safe, people, and play SEGA games if you can. I'll be back into your ears, if you let me, that is, next week. Bye-bye. The SEGA Lounge, hosted by me, KC, and part of Radio Sega's network of live shows and podcasts. Theme song and incidental music by OSC. Find them at opussciencecollective.bandcamp.com. Got any suggestions? Drop me an email to podcast@thesegalounge.com. Follow us on Twitter @thesegalounge and like us at facebook.com/thesegalounge. You can find previous episodes of the show by going to thesegalounge.com and wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. A Mixed On Productions podcast.